Welcome to the HFY Codex Tale. If you like our videos, keep supporting and subscribe to our channel. The Bride in the Box. Eli was tired when the package arrived. It was late evening on Station Delta 9, and the cargo bay lights flickered like always. Eli worked as a repair tech, low pay, long hours, and too many mistakes by the central AI. The box wasn't listed on the schedule. It just appeared. No warning, no sender code, no scanned data. Just a heavy, sealed container marked with glowing red letters. Biosecure, open only when alone. Eli scratched his head. Probably mislabeled junk, he muttered. Still, the box looked expensive. It had soft curves, no rust, and strange gold symbols he didn't recognize. And under the lock screen, a smaller message blinked. To Eli Varn, Bond ID 917A. He froze. I never ordered anything. He checked the system twice. There was no record. Yet it had his name. And that meant he had to take it home. Back in his small room, the box sat in the center of the floor. Eli circled it once, then twice. The red letters had faded. Now the top screen said, "Ready to open." He hesitated. He was alone. Exactly what the box had asked for. Eli pressed the release button. With a soft hiss, the container unfolded like petals. Cold steam rose from the inside. For a moment, he couldn't see what was in it. Then he saw her. She lay inside the pod, eyes closed, breathing slow. Her skin was light silver, soft like moonlight. Her long, dark hair shimmered like silk. She wore a white robe with glowing patterns stitched across it. And on her finger was a ring that pulsed softly. Eli backed up, stunned. Is she alive? As if in answer, her eyes opened. Silver bright and calm. She looked directly at him and whispered in a soft, clear voice. No one's watching. I can finally do what I was chosen to do. Eli froze. Wait, what? She sat up slowly, blinking as if waking from a dream. Your name is Eli, she said. Yes, how do you know that? Because I was created for you. Eli stumbled backward, nearly knocking over a chair. Created for me, what does that mean? My name is Lyra, she said. I am your chosen bride, assigned by the Bonding Council of Therine. Bride, he choked. What kind of scam is this? She tilted her head, confused. I am not a scam, I am a gift. I didn't order a bride. Your DNA matched my imprint file. The match was approved. The bond was sealed in cryo. I didn't sign anything. She blinked slowly. Then someone signed for you, but the match is locked now. I cannot return unless you release me. Eli stared at her. This was crazy. Totally, absolutely crazy. But she didn't look dangerous. She looked calm, peaceful. Her voice was soft, her movements careful. She didn't act like someone faking anything. And her presence felt real. Too real. What exactly are you supposed to do? He asked. She stood up and looked around his tiny room. I am to observe you, protect you, and when you are ready, fulfill the final step of the bond. Eli swallowed hard. What's the final step? She turned to him. I cannot say, not until you trust me. He paced the room. This had to be a mistake. Some glitch in the system, some joke by a rich idiot. He didn't even believe in all that bonding stuff aliens talked about. It was ancient tradition, just politics and ritual. But when he looked back at her, she was standing by the window, staring at the stars. And for some reason, she looked sad. Do you want to be here? He asked. She didn't turn. That's not the right question. Then what is? She looked over her shoulder. The right question is, will you let me stay? Eli didn't answer. He didn't know what to say. So instead, he nodded once. She smiled just a little. Then she whispered again. Good, no one's watching. That means I can begin. The duty she refused to explain. The next morning, Eli woke up to the smell of something warm and sweet. His small kitchen, usually empty, was now filled with quiet movement. Lyra stood there, still wearing her glowing white robe, holding a cup of steaming blue liquid. "Good morning," she said softly. "You slept well, no disturbances." Eli sat up on the couch, confused. "Did you stay up all night?" "I do not sleep unless commanded." "You're not a robot." "No, I'm a bonded bride, but duty comes first." He took the drink carefully. It smelled like mint and honey. "You're serious about all this, aren't you?" "I was made for this. I was chosen to serve my bond." "But you still haven't told me what that means." Lyra smiled faintly. "Because you're not ready to hear it." "That's not fair. Fairness is not part of ancient contracts." Eli sighed and sat at the tiny table. "So what happens now?" Lyra walked over and placed a small glowing stone on the table. It floated slowly, casting a soft golden light. "This is a memory stone. It will record the time we spend together." "For what proof?" "For the future, for the moment when the bond reaches the final step." "You keep saying that, but you won't tell me what the final step is." She looked at him, calm but serious. "Because if I tell you, you will fear me." Eli frowned. That was the first time she sounded unsure. He leaned forward. "Are you dangerous?" "Not to you." "To others?" She didn't answer, and that silence was louder than words. Later that day, strange things started to happen. Eli walked past the maintenance hub where he worked. The air vents, broken for weeks, suddenly turned on. The cracked lights near his workshop, repaired. His broken communicator, fixed. But he hadn't touched any of them. Lyra had, quietly, without being asked. "You don't have to do all this," he told her. "I do." "Why?" "Because before the final step, your path must be made smooth. That is part of the duty." "There you go again, talking like it's a prophecy." She looked at him and said nothing, which only made him more curious. That night, Eli couldn't sleep. He watched her through half-open eyes. She stood by the window again, her hands behind her back, head tilted toward the stars. Still, silent, like she was listening to something far away. "What are you really here for?" he asked finally. She didn't turn. "To protect you." "From what?" "From yourself, from your past, and from the ones who would erase your bloodline." His heart jumped. "What?" She turned slowly. "You were born under a signal no one else could hear. Your DNA carries a key. That key woke me up." "I don't understand." "You will, but not yet." She walked closer, kneeling in front of him. "I cannot explain everything, but I can ask one thing." "What?" "Will you trust me, even if you don't understand me yet?" He didn't speak. He just stared at her glowing eyes, her calm face, her quiet strength. And slowly, he nodded. "Yeah, I'll try." She smiled gently, then whispered again, just like before. "Good, no one's watching." "And I've already started." The duty she refused to explain. The next morning, Eli woke up to the smell of something warm and sweet. His small kitchen, usually empty, was now filled with quiet movement. Lyra stood there, still wearing her glowing white robe, holding a cup of steaming blue liquid. "Good morning," she said softly. "You slept well, no disturbances." Eli sat up on the couch, confused. "Did you stay up all night?" "I do not sleep unless commanded." "You're not a robot." "No, I'm a bonded bride, but duty comes first." He took the drink carefully. It smelled like mint and honey. "You're serious about all this, aren't you?" "I was made for this. I was chosen to serve my bond." "But you still haven't told me what that means." Lyra smiled faintly. "Because you're not ready to hear it." "That's not fair. Fairness is not part of ancient contracts." Eli sighed and sat at the tiny table. "So what happens now?" Lyra walked over and placed a small glowing stone on the table. It floated slowly, casting a soft golden light. "This is a memory stone. It will record the time we spend together." "For what proof?" "For the future, for the moment when the bond reaches the final step." "You keep saying that, but you won't tell me what the final step is." She looked at him, calm but serious. "Because if I tell you, you will fear me." Eli frowned. That was the first time she sounded unsure. He leaned forward. "Are you dangerous?" "Not to you. To others." She didn't answer, and that silence was louder than words. Later that day, strange things started to happen. Eli walked past the maintenance hub where he worked. The air vents, broken for weeks, suddenly turned on. The cracked lights near his workshop, repaired. His broken communicator, fixed. But he hadn't touched any of them. Lyra had, quietly, without being asked. "You don't have to do all this," he told her. "I do." "Why?" "Because before the final step, your path must be made smooth. That is part of the duty." There you go again, talking like it's a prophecy. She looked at him and said nothing, which only made him more curious. That night, Eli couldn't sleep. He watched her through half-open eyes. She stood by the window again, her hands behind her back, head tilted toward the stars. Still, silent, like she was listening to something far away. "What are you really here for?" he asked finally. She didn't turn. "To protect you." "From what?" "From yourself, from your past, and from the ones who would erase your bloodline." His heart jumped. "What?" She turned slowly. "You were born under a signal no one else could hear. Your DNA carries a key. That key woke me up." "I don't understand." "You will, but not yet." She walked closer, kneeling in front of him. "I cannot explain everything, but I can ask one thing." "What?" "Will you trust me, even if you don't understand me yet?" He didn't speak. He just stared at her glowing eyes, her calm face, her quiet strength. And slowly, he nodded. "Yeah, I'll try." She smiled gently, then whispered again, just like before. "Good, no one's watching. And I've already started." The one who tried to take her back. The knock came in the middle of the night. 3 sharp hits, precise, heavy. Eli sat up fast, blinking in the dark. Lyra was already awake, standing perfectly still near the door. "Stay behind me," she whispered. "It's just someone knocking." "No, it's him." The door opened before Eli could speak. A tall, dark figure stood in the hall. He wasn't human. He wore a heavy black coat with silver stripes running across his chest, Tharine military rank. His face was pale, sharp, and unreadable. "Eli Varn?" the man asked. "Yeah. I've come to collect what never belonged to you." He pointed at Lyra. "Unit 7, return now." Lyra didn't move. "I will not go back." "That's not your choice. You don't control the bond." The man stepped forward. Eli instinctively moved in front of her. "Hey, back off. You can't just come into my room and—" "She's not yours. She was never meant to wake. The council made a mistake." Lyra's voice was calm but deadly. "No, the council hid the truth. They knew the bond would find him eventually, and now that it has, they are afraid." "Enough," the man said. He raised a glowing device. But before he could activate it, Lyra's hand lit up. The air around her shimmered. Her eyes glowed brighter than Eli had ever seen. She stepped forward, voice like steel. "If you touch him, I will burn this station to its bones." The man stopped. He looked at Eli. "Do you even know what she is?" "I know enough," Eli said. "Then you're a fool." The man turned to Lyra again. "You will break him, you always do." "Not this time," she said. "We'll see." And just like that, he vanished, cloaked in a blue flash of energy. Eli's knees gave out. He sat on the floor, breathing hard. "What just happened? Who was that?" Lyra slowly turned to him. "My old keeper, a watcher from the temple vault. I escaped, because I was meant for something more than silence." "And he wants you back." "Yes, because I'm dangerous, because I'm unfinished." Eli stood up shakily. "What do you mean, unfinished?" Lyra looked at her hands. "I wasn't just created to serve. I was created to bond with the one who carried the signal." But they shut me down before I could grow fully. They feared what I'd become. What would you become? She looked into his eyes. Whatever you needed. Eli sat on the bed, mind spinning. Everything was changing too fast. But one thing was clear. Someone powerful wanted her gone. And he wasn't okay with that. You're staying here, he said. They'll have to go through me next time. She smiled. Not a soft smile, but a proud one. Good, she whispered. Because now you've taken your first step into the bond. Outside the station, in the cold silence of space, a fleet ship blinked to life. A voice echoed in its command chamber. The human is interfering. Prepare extraction. If she resists, erase them both. She was built for one thing only. Eli stared at Lyra as she sat on the edge of his bed, hands folded in her lap, eyes lowered. She looked calm, but the air around her felt like it was holding its breath. You said you were created, Eli said. Not born, not chosen, built. What does that mean? She looked up slowly. I was made in a biotemple beneath the surface of Tharine's third moon. I grew in a sealed chamber, shaped cell by cell to match your DNA code. My DNA. Your family line carries something old, something the Empire buried centuries ago. Eli felt his chest tighten. But I'm just a tech guy. I fix power coils. I'm not important. That's what they wanted you to believe. Lyra stood, and her robe shimmered with faint light. She raised her hand, and a thin hologram appeared, images of charts, symbols, blood records. In the center of the display was his name. Eli Varn. You are the last carrier of the Vox seed. The what? A forgotten signal, hidden in your bloodline, a key that unlocks a path to something the Council fears, freedom. Eli took a step back. This sounds like some religious story. It was, but it's real. They used to believe the Vox could awaken minds, break chains, even stop war, but the high races feared losing control. So they buried it, and destroyed everyone connected to it. Eli's stomach turned. What does that have to do with you? Lyra looked into his eyes. I was made to protect the seed, to guide it, to unlock its power through connection, through bonding. So what you feel, what you've said, is it just programming? Her face softened. She stepped forward and gently touched his chest. I was built for one thing, but now I feel something that wasn't part of the plan. Outside, the warning lights blinked on the comms panel. Incoming signal, fleet ship approaching, 20 minutes. They were out of time. So let me get this straight, Eli said, trying to breathe. I've got alien DNA in me, and you're the only one who can protect it. Yes, and if I reject the bond? Lyra hesitated. Then I will be forced to shut down, forever, and you will lose your shield. You mean your powers? I mean me, my body, my memory, my heart. Everything you've seen will disappear. Eli didn't know what to say. He wanted to run, he wanted to scream. But deep down, he didn't want her to go. Not because she was powerful, but because she was real. She saw him, protected him, believed in something more inside him. What happens if I accept the bond? He asked quietly. She stepped closer, just inches away now. Her voice was almost a whisper. Then I become more than a bride. I become part of your blood. And together, we unlock what's been sleeping for centuries. He looked into her eyes, silver, glowing, soft. He didn't understand everything, but he understood one thing. He didn't want to lose her. Just then, the station shook. A deep, distant boom echoed through the walls. The fleet had arrived, and they weren't coming to talk. If I do this, Eli said, grabbing her hand, you fight with me until my last breath. Then let's make this bond real. She closed her eyes. The ring on her finger pulsed once, then dissolved into golden dust. It spread through his chest like warm light. And somewhere in the dark sky above, the ancient signal awakened. The night she almost vanished. Eli woke up to silence. The kind that didn't feel peaceful, but wrong. The lights were still on. The warm glow of Lyra's memory crystal was still pulsing softly on the shelf. But she was gone. No footsteps. No whisper. Not even a note. Except one thing. On the table, written in glowing blue ink. You are not ready, but I cannot wait forever. He stood there, heart pounding. She had vanished. Just like that. He ran through the station, checked the cargo levels, searched the hangars. Every guard he passed ignored him. No one remembered seeing her. It was like she'd never existed at all. Back in his room, Eli picked up the memory crystal. Lyra had placed it there when she first arrived. It had recorded their time together, every moment, every word. He held it tight and it lit up. Her voice echoed softly. If you're hearing this, I've already gone, not because I wanted to, but because the bond needs you to choose it now. Not me. Not prophecy. You. Eli sank into the chair. His mind raced. Why would she leave now, after they bonded? Why now, when he had finally started to believe? Then it hit him. She hadn't left to protect herself. She had left to protect him. Because she knew what was coming. He stood fast, heart full of fire. No, he whispered. I'm not losing her, not again. He accessed the console and entered his genetic ID. A screen flashed. Buried deep in the registry, a location code. Signal match, Moon Sector X7 unauthorized zone. That's where she was. Or where they took her. Without thinking, Eli grabbed his toolkit, a ration pack, and a thermal suit. He jumped into a small cargo ship from the station's lower dock, unauthorized, unstable, and barely flying. But it would be enough. I'm coming, Lyra, he said through gritted teeth. This time I save you. As the ship sped through the cold void of space, the memory crystal still glowed in his pocket. Her last message played again, but this time, he listened carefully. They will try to shut me down, wipe my code. But if your voice reaches me first, I might remember you. I might remember us. He stared out at the stars, eyes sharp. You will, because I'll remind you. I'll make you remember who we are. Meanwhile, on a hidden facility under the ice moon, Lyra sat in a glass chamber, floating in stasis. Frozen, silent. Her memory files were being wiped. Line by line. But somewhere deep inside her, a small light flickered, and it whispered one word. Eli. The ancient bond awakens. The ship shook as it entered the moon's orbit. Frozen clouds swirled over the surface like a storm made of ice and secrets. Eli gripped the controls tightly. Come on, hold together, he muttered. The engine screamed, but the ship landed rough but alive. Outside, the wind howled like something ancient was warning him to turn back. He didn't listen. He pulled his hood tight, stepped into the cold, and followed the signal pulsing in his blood. It was real now. He could feel it tugging him forward. Like she was still reaching for him, even in silence. The hidden facility looked abandoned. But the doors opened the second he touched them. Inside, dim lights, long halls, cold floors. No guards. No voices. Just that hum in the air. Faint, familiar. He followed it. Room after room. Until he found her. Lyra floated inside a tall glass chamber. Eyes closed, glowing wires wrapped around her wrists and neck. Her white robe was dim now. Her body looked still, fragile. But he knew better. Lyra. No answer. The control panel blinked red. Memory deletion, 74% complete. His chest tightened. No, stay with me. He slammed his hand on the panel. Nothing happened. He tried to pull the wires off her, but they sparked violently. You said if my voice reached you. He stepped closer, pressed his forehead to the glass. You might remember us. His voice broke. I remember everything, every time you stood by me, every moment you believed in me. Now it's my turn. His blood started to burn. Not from pain, but from power. The Vox seed inside him was waking up. His chest glowed with golden light, the same color as Lyra's memory ring once had. The lights in the chamber flickered. The deletion paused. The glass cracked, and Lyra opened her eyes. Eli. Her voice was faint but real. Yes, I'm here. They almost erased me. But I didn't let them. You called me back. Always. The glass shattered. He caught her in his arms. Her body was cold, but the moment they touched, light bloomed around them. The bond completed. The final step. Golden rings spun in the air. The walls shook as energy burst outward. Old symbols lit up along the floor. A long-buried system roared to life, and a voice echoed through the chamber. Vox bond confirmed. Memory restored. Awakening complete. Lyra stood steady now. Stronger. Her eyes glowed with deep silver fire. She turned to Eli. I remember who I was supposed to be. And now I know who I choose to be. Not just your protector. Your partners. Above the moon, fleet ships began to circle. Their weapons charged. The council knew what had happened. And they were ready to strike. Lyra reached out. Golden energy flowed around her fingers. If they come for you, they'll have to face both of us. Eli smiled. For the first time in his life, he felt unstoppable. Not because of power, but because of who stood beside him. The bride who chose for herself. The sky above the moon turned red. Dozens of warships circled in formation. Their orders were clear. Retrieve the bond unit, erase the human, contain the signal. But inside the ancient temple, Eli and Lyra stood side by side, their hands glowing gold, their bond fully awakened. The council sent a message. A voice echoed across the chamber walls. Unit Lyra 7, power down, surrender the human, the Vox signal is forbidden. Lyra stepped forward, eyes blazing. I will not obey. You are bound by code. No, she interrupted. I was built with code, but I have chosen something greater. She looked at Eli. I choose him, not because he matches a file, but because he saw me, not as a servant, not as a weapon, but as a person. Eli squeezed her hand. You said your final step was to protect the Vox, but I think it was more than that. It was to find someone worth protecting, she whispered. And you did. The ships above began to charge their weapons. But the ground beneath the temple pulsed. The ancient system, powered by the bond, woke up fully. Giant spires of light shot upward. Energy shields surrounded the moon. The council's fleet opened fire. But the blasts vanished, disarmed midair by something older than war. The voice returned, different this time, calm, deep, ancient. The bond has been completed. Consent has been given. The era of forced service ends now. In every hidden temple, across every star system, old bond units flickered back to life. Millions of silent brides, forgotten protectors and locked-away souls, woke up, not to follow orders, but to make their own. Back on the moon, Lyra turned to Eli. They'll never stop watching us. Let them watch, he said, smiling. They'll never understand what we have. They don't have to, she whispered. As long as you do. They stood together, watching the stars above. Not as master and creation. Not as protector and target. But as two souls who chose each other freely. Somewhere far away in a council room filled with silence, one elder finally spoke. The bond was not the mistake. Trying to control it was. And from that day on, across human and alien space alike, stories were told about the girl in the glowing white robe, the one who whispered her truth only when no one was watching, the one who was built to obey, but chose instead to love. The end Milky Way.